In the small, quiet town of Darlington, people were vanishing. It started with a teenage delivery boy who never came home. Then, a retired nurse disappeared on her way to the grocery store. A local high school teacher went missing during a morning jog. Each case shocked the community, but no one could connect them. There were no signs of struggle, no calls for ransom, and no credible witnesses. Families were left devastated, and the police had no answers. The disappearances stopped for weeks, then started again, following a strange and unpredictable pattern. Detective Laura Benson was new to the department, but experienced with missing persons cases. She began comparing the files, searching for even the smallest link. Eventually, she noticed something odd. Every missing person had made a stop near the same rural area on isolated farmhouse just beyond the town limits. It belonged to the Greaves family, a quiet household made up of a mother and her 2 adult sons. They rarely left their property, had no visitors, and kept to themselves. On the surface, nothing seemed suspicious, but Laura trusted her instincts. One night, a teenager, cutting through the woods behind the Greaves property, heard what he described as a woman screaming. At first, no one believed him, but when Laura followed up, she found enough inconsistencies in the Greaves story to request a search warrant. Police prepared carefully, unsure of what they might find. Early one morning, they surrounded the property. The air was thick with unease. Officers expected an argument, or maybe a confrontation. Instead, they were met with eerie silence and an unlocked door. What they found inside would change everything. The Greaves home looked like any ordinary farmhouse, clean, quiet, and unremarkable. The kitchen was spotless, the furniture neatly arranged, and family photos hung on the walls. But something felt wrong. As officers moved through the house, Laura stepped onto a thick rug in the living room and heard a strange metallic sound beneath her boots. She ordered it removed. Underneath was a metal hatch with a rusted lock. They pried it open and found a narrow staircase leading into a dark basement. At first, it looked like a storage space with old shelves and dusty boxes, but then they found a sliding wall. Behind it was a long, narrow hallway that led to something deeply disturbing. Sealed concrete room with steel walls and a heavy, soundproof door. Inside were chains, bloodstains, and a foul odor that filled the air. Rusted tools lay scattered on the floor. In one corner were makeshift cages, too small for a person to stand. Another corner held stained mattresses and broken restraints. Everything was arranged with care, almost as if it had been used regularly. Laura ordered a deeper search. Forensics teams moved in, documenting every inch. The presence of human hair, fingerprints, and blood samples confirmed the worst. The basement wasn't just a shelter, it was a torture chamber. As police continued to search the property, they realized the horror extended beyond one room. A whole section of the house had been carefully modified to hide the crimes. The Greaves family had created something monstrous under the nose of an unsuspecting town. What they discovered next only made things more horrifying. During the search of the Greaves house, officers found a hidden closet behind the master bedroom wall. Inside was a locked trunk. Once opened, they found over 40 videotapes, each labeled with a name and a date. The detectives quickly realized what they were holding: evidence of unimaginable cruelty. Each tape showed disturbing footage filmed inside the hidden basement room. Victims were tied, tortured, and left to suffer. The camera never shook, suggesting the setup had been permanent. The Greaves brothers, Caleb and Thomas, appeared in nearly every video. Sometimes they wore masks, other times they didn't bother. Their mother, Edna, was present in many of the tapes. She never participated directly, but she was always watching. Sometimes she handed them tools or cleaned up after the sessions. She was part of it. As the detectives reviewed the tapes, they identified several missing persons. Items of clothing and personal effects from the victims were also found in the basement and in a van buried in the woods nearby. It became clear that this operation had been going on for years. Victims were chosen based on how little they'd be, misdrifters, travelers, or locals with limited family. Laura felt sick watching the evidence. These weren't crimes of passion. They were systematic, planned, and repeated. Psychological experts reviewed the footage and noted how detached the Greaves seemed. There was no emotion, only routine. The family had managed to hide this operation in plain sight, fooling their neighbors and authorities alike. And yet, there was one question that still lingered. Had anyone survived? While examining the basement, a forensic officer noticed a faint sound coming from behind one of the walls. It was rhythmic, like tapping. The team acted quickly, removing the wooden panels. Behind them was a narrow space, and inside, they found a woman. She was alive, though barely conscious. Her name was Rachel Monroe. She had been reported missing just 2 weeks earlier. She was dehydrated, bruised, and traumatized, but she was able to whisper her name. Rachel was rushed to the hospital, and her presence changed the investigation completely. She confirmed that the Greaves had captured her. She had been restrained, beaten, and left alone in darkness for days. She believed she was going to die, but when she managed to break a small pipe in her cell, she used the broken metal to tap against the wall, hoping someone would hear her. Rachel described how the family operated. They didn't talk during torture. They wore gloves. Everything was filmed. She also mentioned a leather-bound notebook where Edna recorded everything: dates, names, and methods. That journal was eventually found hidden beneath the floorboards. It detailed every victim, each stage of their suffering, and when they died. Rachel's survival provided the final piece of the puzzle. Her testimony confirmed everything the tapes showed. She was the only one who had escaped. Her bravery gave voice to the voiceless, and her story would lead to the Greaves family's arrest. But the town would soon learn that even justice couldn't erase the darkness left behind. The Greaves family was found 3 days later at a gas station 2 towns over. They were calm when officers approached. None of them resisted arrest. At trial, the courtroom was packed. Families of the missing wept as prosecutors played clips from the tapes. No one could believe how long the family had gotten away with it. Rachel testified behind a screen, her words halting but strong. She described the terror she endured and the silence that followed every session. Caleb and Thomas refused to explain their actions. Edna stared blankly ahead, showing no emotion. Psychological evaluations confirmed that all 3 understood right from wrong, but felt no guilt. The jury needed only a few hours to deliver the verdict. All 3 were sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. After the trial, the town of Darlington demanded the house be demolished. The property was cleared, and a memorial now stands in its place, a tribute to the victims. Detective Laura Benson was honored for her work. Rachel moved away, hoping to rebuild her life. But the scars, both physical and emotional, would remain forever. The Greaves family became a dark chapter in the town's history, a reminder that evil often hides behind quiet doors. And though justice had been served, the trauma they left behind would never truly fade.